Hey everyone. This is my first tech repair video. I just wanted to cover it quickly. I already completed this repair. So yeah. Alright, so I did a repair on these Cyber Acoustics CA 2014 speakers. Um, so kind of the issue that was happening with these speakers is the left speaker just was not playing any audio, and the right speaker was working fine. So, first thing I thought of was to just take apart this left speaker and see if there were any wiring issues going on internally. So, that's what I did. To take these things apart, all you have to do is to remove this front speaker casing like this. Then there's four uh, Phillips head screws. So remove those, and you can look in the inside. So you have one wire coming in from the right speaker, and then that connects to a positive and negative terminal. So I'll zoom in on that. So you have the wire coming in, and then you have a positive terminal and a negative terminal. So these were connected fine. I was like, okay, it looks good. So I closed that back up and started looking at the right speaker to see if anything was wrong. So pretty much the same process for the right speaker. Take this front off. Then you have four screws. So yeah, four screws right here. Um, remove this, and then you kind of got a lot more interesting stuff going on. So you have a board here, and then the same idea on the speaker part. All right, so looking at this board, I didn't see any issues visibly, but I did some experimentation and looking online, they suggested that I kind of clean out this headphone jack because I think if you have gunk inside of this headphone jack, it can think it's like half lodged in and then cause only one of the speakers to work. So I just took a just like a standard headphone jack from one of my headphones, plugged it in and out quickly to see if I could clean it out. And what I ended up noticing is when you put the headphone jack about halfway in, the left speaker um, would start playing audio, but the right speaker would stop. So the original issue was that only the right speaker would play, and then in this case, the left speaker was playing. So when I saw that, I ruled out any type of connection issue for power into this left speaker. So I was kind of happy to find that. And the next thing I tested was whether or not the left speaker audio was actually um, for the left side or if it was just the right side switching over. So to determine whether or not that audio was jumping from the right speaker into the left speaker, I used my computer's audio manager's panning settings, and I panned the audio the whole way to the left and had the headphone jack um, halfway plugged in, and the audio was not playing at all. And then when I panned it the whole way to the right and had it halfway plugged in, I had audio. So this definitely meant that when it was halfway in, the audio was jumping from the right to the left. And it also confirmed that there's no issue with the left speaker receiving power. So I was pleased to find that and I moved on to this board. So looking at the board, there's kind of three things that I looked at first. Um, these uh, these pins right here, left in, right in, and ground. I was looking at this left in because the right in and I'm assuming and ground were definitely functional since the right speaker was working. Um, and then these left plus and less negative were also definitely working because I knew that the left speaker would have power because it was playing the audio when I used the headphone jack. So yeah, I looked at this left in. It didn't look visually damaged, but I just went ahead and took apart an old um, aux jack and I just cut it and then soldered the three wires into their respective spots. And then, so kind of an interesting thing that I did um, with that um, headphone cord was I did a continuity test with a multimeter, and I found out which wires were correct. So using kind of some information from online, um, the end is universally the left in. So I connected this to each of the wires right here. And then whichever one beeped on the continuity test, I knew would be the left in. And then I don't remember which corresponds to right in anymore. I'm pretty sure that it's green is right in, and then it's also the center metal band right here. So if you do a continuity test, you can always find that out. And then with ground, you do another continuity test with either side of the multimeter and then the ground. Um, and then, yeah, so I was able to determine which wire corresponded to which, and then wired it up. And then when I wired it back up, um, it worked. So uh, possibly there was some internal damage with either the solder point or within the left in wire. But these speakers are now working, and I'll now do a demonstration. All right, so here's the audio test. I have my iPhone plugged into the speakers. And then if you go into iPhone accessibility, if you go into settings, accessibility, and then audio and visual, you can control the panning of your audio. So right now I move it to the right speaker. Um, this one was already working, but I'm just going to do a demo. So I'm just going to play an audio test. It's just a frequency, and then I'm going to turn it very low because in earlier tests, when I would test the inactive speaker, I would still hear some audio. So I'm going to try to turn as low as possible. So I'm just going to test the right speaker right now, move the left out of frame, and then try the right speaker. So let's play the audio. Okay, that's the right speaker. Move that out of frame and move the left speaker in. There should be no audio from the left speaker at all. So there it is. Okay, and now I'm going to pan it to the left and it should get louder. So here we go. I'm going to pan it right now. I'm panning it right now. Alright, so I hope you guys can hear that difference. Alright, so that's an audio demo. Turn that frequency up. There's an audio demo of the speakers working. Thank you guys for watching. It was nice to implement my PCB soldering skills and learn a few things about how aux jacks work. So yeah, thank you guys for watching.